Hi, it's time for Lin's Local Lowdown. I'm Lin Miklas with Remax Alliance. On this video series, I'm excited to share information on local development and real estate info. Here's a July 2026 Lowdown, which shares some interesting information on the history of real estate in the USA. Before we get started, spread the word about my videos. Please like, comment, and share. As America celebrates its 250th birthday, I thought it would be interesting to look at the history of real estate over the past 2.5 centuries. Because when you think about it, the story of America is in many ways the story of land ownership. When the Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776, property ownership was largely limited to white men. In many colonies and early states, voting rights were actually tied to owning land. Land ownership represented wealth, opportunity, and political power. In the early years of our nation, much of the land was acquired through grants, purchases, and westward expansion. The federal government encouraged settlement through programs like the Homestead Act of 1862, which gave qualifying settlers up to 160 acres of public land that they lived on and improved. One fascinating fact is that mortgages were not always common. In the 1700s and 1800s, many people purchased land with cash, private financing, or short-term loans. The modern long-term mortgage that most of us know today didn't really emerge until the 1930s. During the Great Depression, the federal government created programs that transformed housing finance. The Federal Housing Administration was established in 1934, helping popularize the long-term fixed-rate mortgage. Before then, many loans required large down payments and had much shorter repayment periods. Property ownership rights also expanded dramatically over time. Although laws varied by state, married women generally gained the right to own and control property through Married Women's Property Acts, beginning in the 1830s and spreading throughout the 19th century. For African Americans, the path was even more difficult. Free Black Americans could own property in some states before the Civil War, but enslaved people were legally considered property and could not own land. Following the Civil War and the passage of the 13th Amendment in 1865, formerly enslaved Americans could legally own property, though discriminatory laws and practices often created significant barriers. The 20th century brought both opportunity and challenges. Home ownership rates rose dramatically after World War II, fueled by suburban growth, highway construction, and mortgage financing. At the same time, practices such as redlining unfairly limited access to home ownership for many minority families. Today, the American home ownership rate is about 65%, and while markets rise and fall, real estate has remained one of the primary ways American families build wealth. Consider this: in Douglas County, the median home price was about $400,000 in 2016. Today, it's around $720,000. Real estate doesn't move in a straight line. Markets change, interest rates shift, economies vary. But over the last 250 years, one thing has remained remarkably consistent. Owning real estate has been one of the most powerful tools for creating stability, opportunity, and long-term wealth. As we celebrate America's 250th birthday, it's worth remembering that the history of our nation and the history of home ownership are deeply connected, and both continue to evolve. Thanks for watching. I'm Lin Miklas with Remax Alliance. I love to help people buy and sell homes, so call me.